Go.
Welcome to the Rescue, Authentic Networking, our authentic videocast. Jennifer, how are you today?
I am actually doing really well. It's so good to see everybody. We're going to get right to it because we haven't done a show in a few weeks, so we're kind of excited and ready to go. And we have Michelle Hammis, who is a realtor with Keller Williams, and Hammis Helps is what she wants everybody to know. Hammis Helps. Isn't that, it's kind of easy. It rolls off your tongue. She connects the dots. So, and she's a member of TTR Networking. Actually, she's a leader of one of our TTR networking groups. So that's even more exciting. So, Michelle, without any further ado, it's been kind of a crazy start here on our show. We're going to turn it over to you. And we always just like to say, Michelle, tell us about you. Tell us how, people want to know your story. So tell us your story, and how you got to do what you're doing. And I guess we'll start with that, right? Is that kind of where we go, ladies? Okay,
Yeah,
we'll do that then. Okay.
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So basically, well, hello everybody. Hello Don, Jennifer, and Jennifer. Sorry, Jennifer and Nicole. But yes, I came here from Texas about 20 years ago. As most people seem to do, they come to Indianapolis for what it has to offer. And I came here really without much expectation, just kind of like a new place. I get to try something new. And what I found out about myself is I really like challenges. I really like, adventure and, trying to really push myself. So I had an opportunity. I had a chance to, well, I actually was a cheerleader with the Indianapolis Colts, which was also the team that my dad played for way back when they were the Baltimore Colts. So I always have a funny joke with him. I'm like, hey, I bet you thought your sons were going to follow in your footsteps instead. I followed in your footsteps. But at the end of the day, Indianapolis gave me a lot of really great starts. I started off with a liquor company, went doing promotions, doing all kinds of things, worked my way up, received a job invitation from Miller Brewing Company, where I worked with them for many moons until they were absorbed into SAB Miller, and then they became Miller Coors. And when they went through that phase, I had the opportunity to be the state manager for here in Indiana. So I got to do all the cool things like set up Carb Day, do all the things with the drivers at Indy 500, Brickyard, Formula One. I mean, the experiences were countless. However, at the end of the day, I'd sit there and go, have I really helped anybody? Did that last beer really help them? And it became something that became more of a chore for me instead of something that I was passionate about, because there was no energy for that in my life. And it took me a minute to recognize that. And sometimes other people have to recognize it for you. And they did. And I was like, thank you for doing that. Because I'm a loyalist by nature. I probably never would have left had they not terminated me, because I had gotten to a point to where I'm just not thriving and I'm just kind of a lump on a log right now. So at that time, I actually thought I was going to do early retirement. I had a 3-year-old daughter at the time and a 8-year-old daughter at the same time. And they quickly showed me that I was not capable of being a good stay-at-home mom. I was trying to run them like I ran the business. That doesn't work. So we had a lot of in-home learning going on, not only for them, but for me. And so from that, I was able to take some pause points and just say, what is it that would just set my world on fire? What would I do that would make me happy to go to work today? What could I do that if I wasn't getting paid for it, I'd even do it for free? Like, what are those things? First thing that came up was I would love to dance. I actually have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in dance. So I'd love to do that. But yeah, there was nothing for a 35-year-old lady to go out and do with, in that field. So what came to mind was real estate. I've loved real estate from a young person. My mother was a commercial realtor. So I had experience and exposure to it. I think it was just something that was always waiting in the wings, and it just took me to discover it. And, one of the phrases that I learned recently, but is a very old saying that rings true to me, is the teacher will appear when you're ready.
Yeah.
And so all that time I wasn't ready. Finally, when I got some quiet space and had some time to reflect, I was ready. And so that's when the world of real estate opened up to me. And haven't looked back. I've been with Keller Williams since 2016. And year one, I sold 6 houses, and I went in and I looked at them and said, how does a person live? Like, how I don't have health insurance. At that time, you had to buy it on your own. It was costing me $800 a month. And I was like, how does this work? How do you do this? And at Keller Williams, they just pretty much said, have you set goals? Do you have a plan? I'm like, well, no, I just sell houses. and they actually walked me through
That's
the
awesome.
dream board, the vision, setting the goals and doing that. And once I put my mind on those things, I started to see a change in my business. And it went crazy. And so the next year I sold 16 houses.
Oh, wow.
But you don't go up without coming back down a little bit. There's this ceiling that always happens, and you have to push through it to keep going to the next level. And so my third year, because this is my 4th year in, I hit that glass ceiling, and I was like, every deal I was doing was blowing up. I couldn't seem to make things go, and I took it personally, because I'm like, when I do business with you, you become a part of my family. Like, I'm here to help you, and I get personally invested. So that was a challenge. And what I realized is it wasn't the people, it was where I was, because I had a successful second year in the business. And in my mind, I need to exceed. I need to go higher than that, because that's how I always operated in business. You always have to keep doing more and more and more. And so that's what I was focused on, instead of focusing on helping the people. And when I returned back to my core values and my basics and started helping people here during the year of COVID, I actually had my best year ever. And it was because I stuck to what I do best, which is reaching out and asking people, how are you? How can I help? And not how can I help you sell your house, but how can I help you, period. And that is something that I've really been building on.
Because that actually is usually part of that question, is how has the COVID affected your business? And you just answered the question. But say it again.
Oh, it's affected it. Because obviously open houses are a big piece of how I would get my business. That was just my wheelhouse. That was my strong suit. And obviously with COVID, you couldn't do that. And at the time, I had a lot of stationery and a lot of time. And I sat and I wrote all of my neighbors. I live in a subdivision that has like 1,000 houses. I didn't write all of them. I wrote the people that were like immediately around me, and just sent them a note that said, hey, thinking about you, just wanted to check in to see how you and your family are doing. Do you need anything? Blah, blah, blah. And did a couple of those, and some people were very appreciative. They were like, oh my gosh, thank you. That was awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then I got a client a neighbor, friend, everything, that called and said, hey, we were really planning to sell our house, and we just don't know how we can operate in this new normal. And I said, well, let's hurry up and get it on the market before they shut the state down, because at the time they were just talking about it. No one even knew what that looked like. And so we got their house. They found a house that they liked. We got their house on the market on the Friday right after the state had been shut down. And so I had to put this house on the market. I had to find a safe way for people to be able to go into the home, and also for my clients to return to the home after showing. So I'm very thankful for my mother. My mother sends a lot of things and is overzealous whenever it comes to, hey, you need this, I'll send you 200 of those. So at the time, she had been very proactive and had purchased a lot of disposable masks, as well as Lysol and all these things. So when I went to my clients, I had a little box that I put on their front porch that had gloves in it, that had hand sanitizer in it. I had 10 disposable masks that I could spare. I hope people take them and use them responsibly. I hope, or somebody could take this whole thing and just leave it, and my clients would be out of luck. So, and then I gave my clients, the people selling the house, a really small can of Lysol.
Aw.
So that as soon as they would come back in from the garage, entering their home, they would just start spraying. And we sold their house within 2 days of it being on the market. So luckily we didn't have to do that for very long, but I mean, it was a mind shift. It's not that I can't do it or we won't do it. It's how can we do it in the
Right.
new normal? And so, that's how we've been operating. And this year I have sold 21 houses today.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Congratulations.
so it's been
I know, but I'm scared. I'm like, I don't want to hit that ceiling again like I did one year. But
Well, you just push on through. You got it.
Exactly. But again, I think if I just stay focused on true value add of me helping people, then, whatever it will be, and I will be all right.
That's cool. That's a good answer. Nicole, I think she led right into the right thing. Your question.
I know. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my question, in our video cast, we talk so much about authenticity and how important it is, like to us, and just being genuine, being real. Our shows are real. We just keep going. No, but what and you've talked so much about how authentic you are. You're just amazing. So I'm going to still ask you, in case there's anything you want to add to that. But what does authenticity mean to you?
Yes. So being authentic is a learned value, I believe.
Ooh, yes.
Because I believe we're groomed to assimilate and to do as we're told and how we're told.
Mhm.
And I was really good at that. It came back in my personality. We've all done the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the Strength Finders 2.0, all that stuff that came back and said I was able to adapt to any kind of situation. And that actually became a detriment to me because I moved through Miller Brewing Company / SAB Miller / Miller Coors. I had 8 positions in 16 years, and they were all step ups. And in an industry that is glamorous, but I didn't care about it. I had no passion for it. So, but I was good at assimilating. I could take what you said and I can regurgitate it back and we're good.
Yeah.
But there was no passion there and it began to run out. So I know that, I shared some of this before, but I'll just share my dream board here. And hopefully you guys will see it. But to the left there is, wait, where'd it go? I don't know where it went. Hold on. We're going to do that. And then we're going to try again. And there you are. And we're going to try that one more time. Can you guys see it? Okay, now it went away again.
There it is.
So
There it is.
Are you able to see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, I can't.
Oh, no.
Well, either way, so there's a bubble on there that talks to, and hopefully you're not, I'm not sharing that now.
No. It's the one you showed us earlier.
You see it on the screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to talk. So the bubble on the left is basically how I relieve stress. I blow bubbles. It's very simple. They cost 30 cents. I use them. I enjoy them. And then I'm able to go back and process whatever the hard issue is. The 2 people that are counterbalancing each other is how I believe all relationships should be equally yoked in that, each person has to value the other person or else, you've got a failed situation there. I've got some liquid pouring into cups, like milk pouring into cups. And basically I feel like you need to be able to pour into people without getting anything back. You just need to do it because you have the ability to do it. There is a picture of a storm. And after the storm, you see a beautiful, sunset happening on the other side. If you can just persevere through the storm, there are some great things to be had at the end of that. There's also image of smiley face, sad face, what have you. And I truly feel like if you go into things with a positive attitude, you can't lose, and that's where the big square in the middle comes in, mindset. That's everything. You choose how you want to be seen and behave in the world. Then there are some hands that are over in the bottom left corner where it's basically like each one needs to teach one and needs to lead one. We all have to build on it. And it doesn't matter color, size, stature in society, or any of that. We all have something to give and we all have something to learn. And I'm sure I missed one in there and I apologize.
You're okay. It begins with an M, the moms.
Oh, yes. See, and there you go. There you go. I want to be a super mom and, I go and forget it. So
Yes.
that's how that goes.
And then you're thankful and blessed. I love this. My heart is just racing. I just love stuff like this. This is so amazing. Thank you. Where'd you go? Your picture and you're on mute.
There she is. We knew she'd come back eventually. That's okay. That's all right. Very cool.
Thank you. Thank you. That is just so awesome. Makes me just want to run and go make mine. I started it, but nothing like that.
No, I think people try to make it too difficult, and that's just really pretty. And it just got right to the point, It's
gorgeous.
It's right there. If
So
you
much
look at
meaning.
it, it's like, well, she blows bubbles. No, she really does blow bubbles. She likes bubbles. Cool. Okay. I'll quit talking. I'm just in awe. So there you go.
All righty. I'm next. I get to ask the next question. Michelle, I see you as muted, so I hope you unmute so that you can respond.
There you go.
I know you alluded to a little bit of this earlier in your presentation talking about yourself. I'd like to know, based upon your industry, how it is that you make connections to find your potential clients, to find your community, what it is that you do. And I know that you talked about sending out the postcards within your local community, but what else, what other resources do you utilize? What other settings do you take advantage of to glean your customer base?
That's a really awesome question. And if you asked me that 3.5 years ago, I'd be like, anything, anywhere. But I've since realized, again, you kind of you get personal with yourself. I know that sounds crazy, but you have to find your own strong suits. And mine are being out and being involved. So in my little area of Westfield here in my neighborhood, I have about 6 or 7 neighbors that I will go to their house. Well, not as much anymore, but like we'll be in their backyard or something and have get-togethers. And just from doing stuff like that, just having the energy and the vibe, you end up with a referral. And so this year, 90% of my business was referral based. And that's exactly where I want to be, because if I'm getting referral from people that I like to do business with, then I'm definitely going to probably like to do business with the people they refer. Yes. Without kind of generating that business, then, you kind of might not get the same type of people that you would normally engage with. So I found my tribe is my neighborhood. And I call myself the Resident Realtor, because I live here in Countryside. I've lived here for almost 20 years. And I watched this community go up. I know the builders in it. I know all the different aspects. I know all the floor plans. And I can also tell you the niche things about your community that make it valuable within Countryside. I can also do the same for a lot of areas around here, because a lot of these neighborhoods weren't here when I moved here 20 years ago. They were horse farms. So I have a lot of insight and I take pride in this area and seeing how it's being developed. I'm on board for all the economic development that's happening and look forward to Indianapolis and Hamilton County kind of creating more of a greater Indianapolis kind of feel. But, and just recently, and this is new for me, to keep with my whole community feel, I became a neighborhood sponsor on Nextdoor. So I'm on there. And I'm
on Nextdoor too.
All right.
So you're a sponsor. So what does that mean? I'm sorry, I'm taking your questions.
No worries. Basically, what that means is my business is highlighted. So if you were to go and look at the houses, because Nextdoor does have a real estate section, and you say, I want to find out what the value of my home is. They'll tell you, and they'll say, if you want more details, contact Michelle.
Awesome. Yay, Michelle. Awesome.
And so all of that And then I also get to push out information. So like one of the things I did was I've noticed a lot of new members in Countryside. And so I said, the Mill, which is a bar eatery place near us, is a great place to hang out and meet local Westville neighbors. And,
So
you know,
nice.
that's what I put out there, and I've gotten really good positive feedback on that. So it's not necessarily about shoving down everybody's throat that I'm a realtor and I can buy and sell your house and do all that stuff. You're more than that, and people are more than that. And, you know, when you come at people directly on, give me something, you
Right.
know, you don't respond kindly to that.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
You
Thank you
do not.
so
That's-
much for sharing that. That's some really good
Awesome.
information, Michelle, and you have found some unique ways of
Yes.
connecting with your tribe. So thanks again.
And we use that term tribe, don't we? All of us kind of use that as we, but that's cool. That, and I didn't know where you lived, Michelle. Now I'm going to be like, where does she live in Countryside? Now
I
that-
know. She and I are practically neighbors.
Yes, really not too
I
far
can't believe I
away.
haven't ran into you before. I probably have.
Yeah.
I
Now,
probably have.
I get to ask the question about the TTR networking, and and the question really is kind of, I don't, when we put these questions together, when we started this show, it wasn't to, I really don't want people making up stories, but not that I want anybody making up stories, but I do kind of want to know, you know, what about the TTR networking. And I kind of remember, Michelle, that you were a connection of another member, and that kind of opened the door, and you reached out, and then I think kind of went from there. But and the other part of the question is, how are you involved? Which I think I may have already said, but you can tell us what you're doing and what your group is. And let's see. So what I feel like maybe I shouldn't be asking these questions because the TPR is kind of my thing. And then I'm saying, so what made you want to join us? And then I'm thinking, if you say something negative or if you say something
No.
but tell us about, because that, I mean, I know the story, but I don't know if John and Nicole and definitely our listeners don't know.
Well, so as you know, we've talked about kind of before our pregame chat, if you will. I'm a big believer in what you put in the universe comes back to you. And so when I started writing my goal in 2019 was to create a networking group. I didn't want your standard group because that's not who I am. I needed something that was a little bit more flexible and wasn't as costly, because in 2019, you know, that was the year where I was like, okay, I'm hitting this glass wall, you know, something's got to give. So,
Right.
you know, I needed something that would allow me to still be able to eat and drink and be happy, as well as to network with people. And I kept saying this, and there was my colleague, Jerry Mittman, she's in another TTR group, and she goes, oh, I got a group for you. And she tells me all this stuff. I go, that's what I've been looking for. And literally this happened in June, and I had been talking about it since January, but I had it on my goal list to start it in June. So I was going to start with myself on my own. And it took Jerry to connect. And I'm like, oh. And so I made contact with Jennifer, and that's how Keystone Connection was born. It was just one of those things. And Jennifer did a great job of bringing
That's sweet.
awesome people to the group. You know, our group has remained, you know, relatively small. We kind of fluctuate between 7 and 8 people. And, but everybody's remained. And that's been something that's been nice. And the referrals aren't like, hey, you only gave me 2 referrals last month. What, you know, what's going on here?
Right.
It happens when it's time for it to happen. And people have all experienced it. We have one young lady in our group that is unemployed currently, and she still comes on the calls, which she's an awesome person. And she came on when she was having to let a lot of people go in her previous employment. And she came on asking for things on behalf of them. And that's, you know, that's why I love my group, is because we're not just about what can you give me, you know. It was really awesome. And honestly, during that time, I probably got to know her more because she had stepped out of her comfort zone. You know, there's a scene in Men in Black where, you know, one of the aliens comes and puts on a human suit, like a skin suit. And me and my husband always laugh. We're like, you're wearing the Edgar suit. Like literally, I feel like a lot of times in corporate America, we have to wear the Edgar suit.
Yeah.
And it isn't until you come out of that people can genuinely see who you are
Mhm.
and be able to, you know, appreciate the values that you have and not the values that your company has. So TTR has been really awesome, and I can't say anything, you know, more about it. I mean, I talked to Nicole because I had a breakdown moment, you know, because everything, again, as you challenge yourself to new things,
Mhm.
you have those periods where, okay, I've done this, and now how do I get through that? And mine happened, and I was just like, oh, maybe I should just stop this. You know, I'm not doing it right.
I was like, no, we need to.
Well,
We
but
so need
instead what
to.
I did, you know, was say, okay, let me talk to some people. So I talked to other
Mhm.
TTR members, said,
Mhm.
how do you do this? How do you operate? How do you?
Good.
And it became a give and a share that that allowed me to move forward. And
Yay.
old me would have never asked for help. You know,
Mhm.
Amos will help, but don't you, you know, I will not ask you for help. You know, that's what I did. And now I'm more receptive to actually reaching out to people instead of just floundering in my own crazy.
Actually, that's really kind of cool to hear that, because I hope people will feel that, you know, that's the authenticity part of it, is like we're all just trying to get, you know, we all want to help. We don't know that we want to ask for help, but we're all willing to help. So
Yeah.
I think that's good to hear. And you know what, the other part of that question, Michelle, is have you got any kind of story or anything from your group that you would, and it might not be that you sold a house, or it might, but it could be. I don't know. You've sold a lot more homes this year. I know a lot of realtors have had a really good year. But is there any story? I think the story about Claire is kind of good. I think that's a really.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to share, because it was one that, so my whole thing is networking isn't a hardcore thing that you go do. It is an organic thing that happens and can happen through osmosis.
Mhm.
And so I was at Claire had said, we go around every week and say, what is your ask of the week? Her ask was that she had an employee who had written a movie script and needed to know how they could help to get connected to movie production or to what have you.
Mhm.
And I'm like, whoo, you know, that's a tall bill. And I said, okay, but we all listen.
Mhm.
And I was at an event, and it was just neighbors hanging out, gathering, and their kids had come home from IU. And I'm like, oh, so what do y'all do at IU? You know, blah, blah, blah. And the guy says, oh, I'm doing film production. I'm doing blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wait a minute. So I start chatting him up. Come to find out, he had done an internship with some local people that had access to, basically would be interested in reviewing scripts and stuff like that. And I was able to provide that. And I'm like, had she not put that out in the universe and it
Oh
not
my
been
gosh.
on my brain,
Right?
I couldn't have, now I don't know if it resulted in anything, but at least we were able to help her
Yes.
with her ask, help
Yeah.
somebody else.
Mhm.
So that's what I
Amazing.
think is really powerful about, our group specifically.
That is exciting. I'm glad to hear that. And it is just, it's not net sitting on the couch. It's networking.
Right.
It's I say that all the time. It's kind of like silly, but it's true. You can just
Net couch.
net couching.
Yeah,
That is absolutely true.
That's
absolutely true.
It is. So take it away, John. I think you're
Okay.
up. You're up. Good.
I think I am. Okay. Michelle, one of the things that I really love about TTR networking is the connection to nonprofits and community groups. And I think when I was introduced to TTR, that's what I found that was unique and different from most of the other professional networking groups out there that were all about, business. So while we know that for TTR, this is such an important aspect of the organization overall, I was hoping that you could share with us what nonprofits you support, are passionate about, and what type of impact those groups are having on the local community, that you're aware of. What are they doing, and why do you support them?
Yes. So when I first came to TTR, I was very heavily helping out at Open Doors, which is in
Mhm.
Westfield. I was actually very shocked at the amount of assistance needed in the Westfield community. I mean, obviously, we know that it's needed, but you don't know the level.
Mm-mm.
And that was very impactful. Then also to see how generous some of the vendors were with what they give. You know, I remember being in the back because I was the one that would help assemble the requested items into the bag and give it to the people. And I was looking and I'm like, wait a minute, that was at Kroger last week. And I'm pretty sure I paid $45. It was like they had done some kind of Cuban chicken thing from around the world. They were doing something. And I'm like, I just bought that. It was really good. But they had an excessive amount of it because, when they do their programs, it's for a window of time. And
Mhm.
after that window of time is done, they're on to something new and next. So they didn't need it. And so they actually plussed it out to Open Doors. So
Awesome.
people were able to get these, really awesome things, birthday cakes, like cheese trays, like one of them was pate. I mean, like all kinds of stuff
That's awesome.
that was not, I mean, it's not on a checklist. You can say, I'll take the pate, but something that, when you met them at the car, you were able to say, here you go. This was something available and thank you. So that was something I was really interested in. But I do have to say, this year I was introduced to Make-A-Wish. And it was actually in I think it was only 2-3 weeks ago. And the lady came in and she spoke. And I guess for me, I always thought Make-A-Wish was like, hey, we got these 5 trips to Disney. Find me 5 families that want to go, and there you go. I had no idea that they actually start with the child and say, what would make your day? What would be the best thing ever? And she stated that a lot of kids will say, oh, I really want this video game. And she's like, okay. And then they not hire, but they bring somebody in to help them flesh it out to make it a big dream. So instead of it being a video game, it might be, because you can't leave your house now, we're going to turn your whole bedroom into this fabulous, Star Wars room or something. And I was shocked that they're in need of people to actually do that with the children, to actually help them dream bigger. And I was like, what? I can do that, because I'm thinking, I can't afford to get them like the Star Wars movie put into their house, you know what I mean? Because that's what I was thinking, but it's not that at all. There's different activities along the way. And so it's something that just kind of hit me. And I'm like, I can totally assist in that. So that's something I'm going to be doing moving forward. So it's just kind of something that came to me from this group. So
Woohoo!
Wonderful.
Along with all the phones ringing in the background. Sorry, everybody. It's been a morning and a half, Michelle.
okay,
I
that's
apologize.
business. That's business.
Didn't hear one phone here. Are you ringing over there?
My phone, yes. I kept muting myself, but take it away, Nicole.
Okay. Well, Michelle, I'm sure our audience is just wondering right now, how can we find you?
Well, as I stated, I am a sponsor in the 46074 zip code on Nextdoor. I have a business page called Hamas Property Group on Facebook. And of course, you can reach me at hamasproperty.kw.com or just call me at 317-645-8026.
And the other way, I think she's on our website.
Yes, that too.
I think
Click here.
32, I think you're our 32nd-ish episode, and we only realized that last one that Jennifer mentioned about maybe 5 episodes ago. We're like, oh my gosh, you're on our website.
It's a great place where you can find her.
That's where everybody should be. They're not always there, but they are. You know what, Michelle, you are exceptional. And I truly, I'm sitting here and I know I've sat on so many of your calls and I know you put your heart and soul into everything you do. I can only imagine what you do when you're selling and share, helping somebody get a house. So we just would like to, in the last couple minutes, if you want to take a few minutes, what are any final thoughts? I mean, this has been a year and a half. For some people, that's a good thing. Some people, that's a bad thing. It just depends on what it means to you. But do you want to give us, a final thought or two, and then we'll close. I'll let Nicole close this up for today. So,
Definitely. My final thought, if I can impart anything onto anybody, is that what you focus on expands. And that is one of our bold laws that we talk about at Keller Williams. But it's so true. So when this pandemic became a thing, we had some agents that thought, oh gosh, how am I going to be able to work? I'm not going to be able to work. They focused on all the negatives instead of trying to figure out how can I feel in this new environment. So when that happened, we saw a definite split between people that were like, oh, my business is awesome, to my business is horrible. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I don't think there can be any clearer picture, is that you control your own destiny. We all are, from God, and we have that essence in our bodies and our spirits. And there's no reason why you can't use it to move forward in the world.
I don't know that Michelle said it, but what is the commission that you're, not the commission, but the group that you're part of? Aren't you like part of some, you're making all, did she already say it and I've just been distracted?
Which one?
What is it? The one that you do, the Hamilton County MIBOR or something. What is that?
Oh, well, yeah. So I am part of HAMCO, which is Hamilton County MIBOR piece, but I also just became a board member of the Realtor Foundation, which is a not-for-profit, which I'm probably going to get in trouble for not putting them first, but I will in the future. So I did just get on that, and I'm very excited about that. And to really leverage all the resources we can with the Realtor Foundation to alleviate homelessness in Indianapolis. Most of the homeless people in Indianapolis are children. So we really want to try to.
Very scary, isn't it? Very scary. So thank you for all you do. Nicole, Dawn.
Yes. Dawn, do you want to add anything? You're good? I'm sorry. Okay. I wanted to thank you so much, Michelle, for being with us today, and just such an honor. We also would like to thank everyone for watching our show. Until next time, may all your days be filled with authenticity.
Yay.
Thank you. I got my marker.